Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7 p.m. and the date is February 14, 2012. At this point, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are Mr. Greg Lavelle, Ms. Betty Hollow, Ms. Lisa Carson, and Ms. Joan Korinansky, and alternates are Ms. Kay Towsley, and I would like to welcome a new member to our board, Mr. Rick Mayers. Welcome. Thanks for your volunteering. And I have John Goldsey, acting chair. Also present are Zoning Administrator Mr. John Paskey and Secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. The board operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reasons why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Then anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Then after that, anyone wishing to speak in general comments will be heard. And anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code Section 230703B, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, and public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code Section 230710C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board finds, based on direct, specific findings of the fact, that each of the following conditions has been supported. Number 1, practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purpose. Number 2, exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Number 3, preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Number 4, minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Number 5, absence of detriment. The authorization of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Number 6, not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other, or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent of a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by a decision of the board may petition the Athens County Court of Commons plea concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. We only have one case tonight, and the case is number 1201V, Zone B2. The property is at 476 Richland Avenue. Pinta J Company is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 230405A1 to allow residential use on the first floor, where residential use only on the second story and above is permitted. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda, please stand and repeat after me, please. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Let's be seated. Well, Mr. Reschenbacher, this pretty much seems like a pretty straightforward case. Is there anything you would like to ask?
Well, I just wanted to give a brief history of the property. It was built as a house and used as such for several years. Then the owners decided to switch it to a business use. At one point, 476 Richland Avenue housed the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles and a chiropractor's office, and I think the last business in there was called the Relaxation Station. And they simply want to revert it back to residential use for a rental. This involves no alteration of the house, no change in footprint or anything, no change in walls inside or any of that. I included the notice of violation to show you what things did need to come up to code in order for it to be a rental, and that all those things were taken care of. Also, the parking is there. They don't need to create or take away any parking from that parking area, because they've always assigned specific spaces to that building, whether it's for residential or for business use. So if you have any questions.
And that would be for 2 or 3 person rental. I saw.
Well, from my measurements, the bedrooms are only big enough to hold a total of 2 people in the house. And there's at least 2, I think they may have 3 parking spaces saved for it, but it's
Right.
2.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
My name is Lee Jones.
No, you can come to the podium, please. State your name and also your address for the record.
Never been here before, so only see it on television. My name is Lee Jones. I reside on Blackburn Road, South Blackburn Road. The business Pinta J is located in the Plains, Ohio, that owns the property. And as he stated, this was a house to start with, and I've had numerous people all come by and say, saw the sign in your window, are you interested in renting it as a house? And I've said no for many, many years, but it just seemed, it looks like a house, it doesn't look like a business, and so we thought it would be in the best interest to let it go back into a house, because it's a nice, small, nicely decorated inside little house. That's really all I have to say, unless you have questions.
Is the house vacant right now?
Actually, there's a tenant in it. I didn't realize that I had to have a variance to change it over. And it was another, and everybody's heard these kind of stories, I've got to be out of my house right away, can you let me get in here right now, type of a thing. And so a lady that had to move out in Albany moved in and brought her daughter, and they lived there, and actually the daughter was pregnant, and so now there's a little baby, but it is occupied right now.
Okay.
Can I ask you what prompted you to go to the code office to request a permit?
I was told I had to.
By?
Well, I don't know if it was Mr. Eschenlocker or someone told me I had to get it changed from from a commercial to a residential. I didn't really realize, because I only have two properties in town that are residential. The one next door and hopefully the one that we're talking about today. The other businesses that I rent are like the tire center there and C&E Hardware. But we, many years ago, and I don't want to bother you with that, we bought that whole section of land before I was even here, all around that curve, and so we developed some, and at one time we thought about developing the whole thing, but economics didn't make it a good idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How long was it vacant as a business?
I was thinking about that, I think about 3.5 years.
So more than a year for sure.
Oh, yes, more than a year.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You may be called again, if you need to rebuttal.
Thank you.
Now, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request? Anyone wishing to speak in general commentary? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition from the leader?
Good evening. I am Edward Baum at 20 Sunnyside Drive in Athens, Ohio, but I speak in my role as chair of the City of Athens Comprehensive Plan Review and Advisory Committee. Cities for many years have attempted to determine where they're going and what their future is. City of Athens has done so in a number of ways. One is the Comprehensive Plan, which tries to indicate where we want development, where we want business, where we want residences, and another is, in most cities, a zoning code. And the zoning code basically does the same thing. We want residences here, we want businesses here, we want industries over there. Our zoning code, and I checked with Mr. Paskey on this, our zoning code dates from about the late 50s or early 60s. The city was already here. They're all businesses and residences all mixed up. I live on Sunnyside Drive, and about 5 blocks from me on Elmwood, you might not think of this of Elmwood unless you drove down it, there's a welding supply company. Why is there a business right in the middle of an R1 residential area? It's there because it was there before the zoning code was adopted. And the assumption is that in the long run, as a city looks to its future, that whole area should be residential. That if Klein Welding ever went out of business and was out of business more than a year, and someone else wanted to come in and establish another business there, then we will hope that Mr. Paskey or his successor would say, I'm sorry, that's a residential area, and you'll have to make it into a residence. The same is true for business areas. There are certain areas in the city which are designated as business, but when the zoning code was adopted, again, late 50s, early 60s, there were residences there. But the assumption is in the comprehensive plan and in the zoning code that in the long run, all of the anomalies, the grandfathered in businesses or residences, as the case may be, would be taken out so that you'd have a sense of this is a business area. For that reason, I would oppose the granting of this variance or the appeal, because Richland Avenue should be a business area. And the only exception to that is allowing residences on the second floor, but keeping the first floor as a business zone. And so I encourage you to keep that in mind as you make your decision.
Thank you.
I'm Ron Luce, 15 West Hills Drive, and I would concur with Mr. Baum. I have absolutely nothing against Mr. Jones. I drove past the house today, the building today, and to me it looked like a house. But my bigger concern is that we do have zoning, and if we keep mixing in B zones, residences, and in businesses, residential, et cetera, residential districts, businesses, it just gets too confusing. So I understand Mr. Jones, it's Mr. Jones, right? Mr. Jones's plight. If I looked at that place, I would say this really probably is a house. But I agree with Mr. Baum that there are larger issues here about the direction of the city. And for that reason, I would encourage you to not accept this request.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition? Mr. Jones, you can have a chance to rebuttal if you like to. Yes.
My comment is, it seems that there are not a lot of small type houses like this available to people that need something, and I understand the long-range plan, what we're talking about, but I also realize that there are many other houses like that on Richland Avenue right now, immediately across from my area where I'm at. So there are several there. And it just seems when you have a nice little house that someone can use for a while, if some bigger picture happened, then certainly I could understand that. But at the way things are currently, it just seems like this is just a wonderful place. It's on the bus line, you know, for the young lady that's living there with her mother to go to school and that type of thing, which is really a very convenient and a nice factor, I think. And it, as he says, it does look like a home. If it looked like a business, if I were boarding up the front of a business and saying, hey, I'm living in, I'm going to put somebody in the back of that, then I could understand perhaps a little bit more. That's the only other comment I have.
Thank you, sir. The discussion is closed from the floor, and now we will discuss among ourselves. Any discussion? There are a lot of residentials on Richland Avenue at the moment.
Did you say R or?
R, yeah, they are, yeah.
That have all been grandfathered in
Yeah.
since the code was written,
Right.
so.
Well, and as Mr. Bond pointed out, non-conforming uses are supposed to gradually...
Speak up a little.
Yes. Non-conforming uses, as you said, are supposed to eventually come into compliance from a change of use or dilapidation or something. They're not supposed to be maintained in such status.
Okay, if there is no more discussion, would anyone
I've got a
care
question- I've got a
to...
question.
Yes, sir.
Across from the old Morrison, there's a brick apartment building complex there. How did that get built unless there was a variance granted yet?
We don't know because we don't know when it was built. So maybe it was there when the code was established, which
The
meant...
code was established in the 50s or 60s.
I think it was actually, I think it was the late 60s,
Mr. Baum can speak to
actually.
that a little better, but the residential on the second floor and above just came about, what year would that have been?
I'm sorry.
The residential on the second floor and above, that part
I
of the,
can't remember when that was put in.
I believe the building was probably there before that part of the code was changed, so, if I remember correctly.
So, in essence, it's grandfathered. It has legal non-conforming status.
And I think that Richland Avenue is one of the corridors into the city, and most of the corridors, I think, in the comprehensive plan, the entryways into the city are supposed to be more commercial. Those would be shopping areas, and, you know, Simpson Avenue is one, Richland Avenue is one, Columbus Road is one, and I think that is, and also part of the plan, that would be more business district. People could be there doing that and then go into their little residential neighborhoods.
On the other hand, it does not have the look and the feel of a business area. Mostly these businesses are in old homes that are residing in there. There's insurance company, there is a few other businesses, that they were basically a house before, and now they are moving in. So it's not like a typical business district.
Not at all.
Well, it is a business district.
It is, yeah,
Zoned
but
as a
it- yeah,
business
yeah.
district, and
Well,
I
the
think
point
that's
is
what we
to
have
start
attend
moving in
to.
that direction. If you have a
Right.
plan, you can't, nothing happens overnight, right?
Right.
So I think we're going in that direction. Even your wife's business down at the end of Richland Avenue, I don't know if that was ever a house at one time, but
It was a house, yes.
yes, and now it's a great business. So with a little bit of reconstruction on the outside, you could make a place that could be a really unique business area all along Richland Avenue, given the opportunity.
And she also loved to live in it. Okay, let's,
Yeah, make one more comment.
we have closed the discussion from the floor, but we could maybe make an exception. Yeah, just go ahead.
Just one quick comment. If I had been told, I had the building inspected, and they told me I had to have a lot of things done, just opening, nothing terribly big, but, change some windows, because the doctor's office had wanted the windows all closed up, you can understand that, and the massage people wanted that and everything. If I had been told ahead of time that this could not become a residential business, then why would I have torn all these windows open, made it back into a suitable place for someone to live in if there was an opportunity or a chance that it would be turned down. I mean, I'm not saying it was a lot of money, but I did have to send somebody in for 3 or 4 days to open up all the windows and make those changes. And it seems like I should have been told ahead of time if that was a possibility, and then I could have kept it business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for letting me say that.
From the code office, is that something that had to be done regardless of what business or residential?
No, it's just residential requirements.
Okay, got it. Anyone would like to entertain a motion?
I move that the appellant requesting a variance from Athens City Code 23.04.05A1 to allow residential use on the first floor where residential use only on the second story and above is permitted.
Second.
Okay, well, let's go through the findings. Practical difficulty and undue hardship.
Well, this is one that we talk about, or maybe I talk about periodically, trying to get clear what this really means. And it says that there is some exceptional circumstance, but the hardship and difficulty says that there's a hardship and difficulty that's not, maybe I should read it since I'm not saying it very well.
Because of the exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to the specific piece of property, the literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes.
Okay, so if you understand that, literally interpreting the code would create a hardship and difficulty that's not necessary to the purposes of the code. In this case, I don't see the exceptional circumstance, and even though there might be hardship and or difficulty, I think that we need to interpret the code literally here to uphold the purposes of the code. I think it's terribly important in this instance to do that.
Well, I always had difficulty with this, and someone explained to me as practical difficulty of the property, but there's no practical difficulty of the property to use it as a
That's right.
B1.
But that would be, we would be looking for an exceptional circumstance.
Right.
But the hardship and difficulty is, would Mr. Jones be inconvenienced? Would there be a hardship for him? And possibly that's true. And maybe he needs to work harder to get a business use in there. Until he can, there's a hardship. But if we say that that's okay, we are circumventing, in this case, I think, the purposes of the code.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing.
I guess I do disagree, because I think it's a tiny little house, it's clearly a house, although it may have been used for a business, that obviously they're not knocking down the door to use it as a business, and I think that that's probably not going to happen very often with a structure of that type.
Well,
It's been vacant for 3 years, for over 3 years.
I'm thinking that that's not really our concern. And I think that Mr. Paskey could have presented this to us in a under a totally different section of the code, which is actually what Mr. Baum addressed. Then the section I'm talking about is 230502B. And if you want to turn to that, you will see what it says. And I'm diverting us, obviously, from the procedures here. Okay, non-conforming uses or buildings, enlargement, substitution, etc. And I'm looking at 2502B, non-conforming use made to conform. When a non-conforming use has been changed to a conforming use, such use shall not thereafter be changed to a non-conforming use. So Mr. Jones had a house that at one time, before the code came along, was conforming. It became a business district. He changed his to a business, therefore making it conforming. Now he wants to go back to a non-conforming use, which is, by this section of the code, not allowed. And as Mr. Baum has pointed out, not the direction of the comprehensive plan, which is hoping to get this whole zone more uniform than it is now. So I would submit that there are two reasons for saying that this may not be, going backward may not be the best move. But let's go through the rest of the findings and see what else we see.
Exceptional circumstances. Is there any exceptional circumstances or condition applying to this property or the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone?
I guess I would say that it is not very suitable for a business use.
But it's in a business zone.
I understand that.
Therefore,
Yeah.
it needs to be a business use.
Even if it stands vacant?
Yes.
Yes.
In this case, yes.
Well,
And
that's
for
your
many,
opinion.
many, many years, it's been at least three
Well, if
businesses
this
that
is
we
going
know
to
of.
stay vacant, then that would be in conflict with the hardship rule.
And surely the
don't
comprehensive
know.
plan doesn't
That's
call
not
for
the
vacant
state.
buildings, does it?
No, but there are ways to deal with that. I'm not in charge of Mr. Jones' building, but I think that people, if they're pushed hard enough, will find a way to find a tenant. You either lower the price, you lower the rent, you enhance the building, you do something to get a tenant in there. And I don't know that that's our responsibility. I know it's a problem for buildings to stand empty, but I think in this particular instance, saying that you can have a residence on the first floor is just not tenable.
Can we argue that the exceptional circumstances is that this is one floor? I mean, there is not a
The
second
code
floor.
says
No.
you can't have it on the first floor, period.
But I know, but that's why we are here, to discuss this stuff.
Okay.
That's right.
You know, we are here to find a way maybe we can help the...
Might also
I
look
think-
at 230503.
Okay. John, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think it's not our job to find solutions for an appellant. I think it's our job to read the code.
Right. I'm just reading the code on the exceptional circumstances.
Okay.
Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity.
Okay, are you going to suggest that anybody in that zone who wants to turn their property from a business back into a residence should be allowed to do that?
No.
Well, then why should Mr. Jones be allowed to? Wouldn't that be giving him a special privilege?
Well, the other way you can argue is that there are so many residential properties that are enjoying renting their properties.
Okay. So was Mr. Jones until he changed it. Having changed it, he has lost the ability to go backward. He's lost the grandfathered status of what used to be a house
Okay.
and now is in compliance as a business. So, okay.
Any other comments? Joe?
Well, to go back to, I hate to go back. You know, if we gave him the opportunity to, Betty mentioned 230502B, to change back to non-conforming, it's almost like spot zoning.
Exactly.
And so what we're doing is like allowing spot zoning, and spot zoning is really not allowed in the city.
Right.
And so,
You would be giving him special privilege.
Yes,
And I would say
absolutely.
that anybody who wants to in this zone go back to change from what is now conforming to something non-conforming, it just, why do we have a code if anybody can just do whatever they feel like?
come to the board and we just, and the other thing is, in terms of financials, you know, it says right here in the code, we
discuss
do
financials.
not consider those things. We have had people come here, we've given them variances, the next thing you know, they went and rented to a family in an R1, or, you know, so I just don't like to feel like we need to be in charge. We need to look at the code and take the personal out of it. Not that we shouldn't listen to what people have to say, because it's important. They're going to give us some details that we're not aware of.
Okay.
But
Well, thank you. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property.
Okay, I'm going to argue one more time that a reasonable use of the property is a business use.
Correct.
And that to basically violate two sections of the code cannot possibly be a minimum variance.
Absence of detriment.
Okay, I'm going to, I'll be the main speaker here, and you can take it for what it's worth.
It is Valentine's Day after all.
Yes, thank you. Okay. It's my Valentine's gift. Okay, absence of detriment. I think that in this case, if you allow this case to go through and say that a building, having once been a business and now wishing to be a house, can go back into a non-conforming use, is a detriment to the code. And we will be beset in other districts by people who want to have residences on the first floor, even without moving upstairs so they can have parking on the first floor. It's just gonna make even a bigger mess than we already have.
Okay,
I think it would materially impair the purpose of
I
the
believe
zoning
it
code
would.
or the public interest. And listening to what Ed Baum said from the Planning Commission, and I appreciate him bringing those comments, that it is against the public interest.
I believe so.
Well, the last one, I agree. This is becoming a general nature. It's not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property of which variance is sought is not of a so general recurrent nature to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situations.
I think in this instance, the code is pretty clear for this specific case, so I don't think it's of general nature, this particular request.
And we are seeing more and more of these cases coming with the first floor requesting
Well, exactly.
the second one.
Okay. But this one does not try to get around the code by saying, let's have the residents upstairs and parking downstairs. It just says, let me turn it back into a non-conforming use and have the first floor residents, which is not allowed in a B2 zone.
Any other comments? Let's vote. Greg?
I vote no.
Guess what? I vote no.
Okay.
I vote yes.
No?
I vote yes. 3-2, but we don't have your variance.
I just wonder about the eviction process now, so I have to evict the person.
You're going to have to take...
I think maybe the code office can help you with that. Okay, I have 2 items on the agenda in here, that maybe 3. This is month of February. Typically, we have a reorganizational meeting to select a chair, and what we have been doing for some time now, we have been rotating the chair position, and I have given some thought on this, that perhaps we should have a permanent chair for the duration of the year to represent the board and to be accountable for the board. And then, so I'd like to entertain the motion that if we want to continue the way we have been doing, or perhaps we select a chair among ourselves. And if so, we need a volunteer, somebody who can commit time. And the chair job is not just coming in here and doing what I'm doing right now, but be working outside the board, be our point of contact with the zoning office to be able to, in a timely manner, respond to our correspondence and so on. So do I have a second? And the motion is that can we have a permanent chair for the duration of the rest of the year, a permanent chair?
That's a motion we're doing?
For 2012?
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Okay. And if you say yes, that means we will select a permanent chair, assuming we have a good candidate and somebody would.
I say yes.
Could we have some discussion?
Okay, go
I have
ahead.
a comment.
Okay.
Initially, John, when you initiated the rotating chair, which we've been doing since most of the time I've been on.
Well, let me describe, I can just point to that, okay.
Okay, initially I thought it was a bad idea, but as it's gone on and you've handled most of the administrative stuff, which you do really well, and I think each person that steps up when it becomes their turn to be chair really takes hold of that and does a lot of investigation of the cases and comes prepared. I think it gives all of us an opportunity to rotate through that position and see what that means. It would be much easier to slack off if somebody becomes a chair. If you would, personally, what I think, you've convinced me now since you've taken on the administrative stuff, you've provided us with these notebooks, but maintain a rotating chair if you would be willing to do the administrative end of it, which you're doing very well.
No, what I'm doing is very minimal, bringing candy and stuff is not a part of it.
No, but I'm talking about the notebooks.
okay.
No, I can, in that capacity, I will continue to contribute if I can, but we want someone to represent us. That was the whole idea. We have received like letters from public, we need to respond to that. I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, he's looking at me, and we are looking at each other. So if we could have someone on the record that is the
Who do
chair.
we get letters from that we need to respond to?
Well, we have had some letters recently has come to us,
Oh.
and it is a good customer service to provide a timely response to all those.
That's true, but there does seem to be a problem, because if a chair is to represent us, then it would seem that the chair would need to discuss things with us, but we're not allowed to discuss.
Right, it's very awkward.
I
Yeah.
think probably the chair would, for clarification before a meeting, maybe talk to Mr. Pesky, Mr. Eschenbach, somebody in the code office for clarification, to answer questions, things of that sort.
And the other thing is that the chair would make assures that, we had a full 5 members available, so we don't have to go back and forth, and have a guest game come in here, find maybe there is not a member available, and so on. But traditionally, we have always had a chair.
Always had a chair.
And the reason that we went into the rotation was that all of us were busy. She was writing a book at the time,
Muriel
which is
was ill.
done right now, right? The book is complete, so you are now
Yes, quite a
free.
long time ago.
Yeah, Muriel was ill was one of the...
Yeah,
Muriel
and
was ill.
at the time was the best decision for us to rotate. And again, I think the board can benefit from it. And that's the motion we have. We have a yes already in here. You can vote one way or the other. So
Well, but without discussion, I guess it's just, I could just vote no, but I guess I'd like to say why I'm voting no.
okay.
And so I thought we should have some discussion on that. If somebody's willing to step forward, that's fine, but if nobody's willing to step forward, I think that I really appreciate this system as a learning.
I think it's worked very well in
Yes.
that way. And on the other hand, as John says, we might have sort of a better communication with the code officers than, and I think that people do go down and talk to them, but,
And the way it's set in the code, it's not that the chair has like power over us, anything, the
Oh,
chair.
no, it's not about power, it's
It's not
about
about
work. No, this is responsibility.
But the
this
thing is,
not.
the chair can also, assign each one of us to do a committee or maybe work on other issues, maybe investigate the special cases that we need to work on and so on. So that it would be a coordinator, for our effort. I think our services would be better or be more efficient that way. Rick, what do you think? You've been.
Well, normally if you have an organization, you're better off with one person that can be the focus of the information flowing to and from. When you get mobile people, it sometimes gets garbled.
Right.
My 2 cents.
Okay, you have any?
I think it would make sense. I think we'd be a more effective board. I think
Okay.
we'd notch it up a bit.
Now, we have some nomination going in here. I
we
mean,
need
I
to
have
vote on
some
the motion.
choices.
We have a motion, we have a motion.
Your motion.
Okay, the motion was, do we go with a permanent chair and,
I say yes.
yes, ready?
I think I'll say yes.
I guess yes.
I'm going to say no, because
Okay.
I have come to enjoy this process, so.
Yeah, do I,
okay.
yes.
And,
Am I a voting member of the list?
yeah, sure. Well,
For these purposes,
this is our
yes.
organizational
Yes.
meeting. Yes, okay. Okay, and Joan, you could be the vice chair.
I can be the what?
The vice chair.
I don't want to be the chair,
just be
that's
the
not
chair.
what it's about.
Well, I nominate Betty Hollow as chair,
I second it.
Well, maybe we'll have some other nominations.
perhaps.
Well, that's what I actually wanted to say, if you have a desire to be the leader in here and have some good ideas, please speak up, we don't want to just force anyone who wants to be a chair and can contribute, then we will have a debate going.
Yes.
I was just going to suggest maybe everyone should be given time to think about whether they really want to do it or not. You don't have to vote on who the chair is tonight.
Okay.
Just that you want a permanent one.
Okay.
Well, we just
That way you
said
give
that.
board members a chance to think, well, do I really want to take this, or...
Right. I think
not,
that's a
or-
very good idea. Let's decide on that
Okay.
next time.
All right, so when we come next month, do we have a case next month?
Possibly.
Okay. Then we would select after the meeting or the beginning of the meeting?
After.
After the meeting,
Yeah,
okay.
after.
Okay, and if you go,
Who's chair?
who is the chair next time? There's a sheet you all have in your,
In our packets.
Where is it?
Here we go.
I think you become the chair after.
Betty.
Betty, yeah.
Perfect,
Betty.
Betty.
Okay.
All right.
Unless we go to the alternate.
We need to also approve the minutes of the meeting of January.
I just saw one little typo, otherwise. First page, the third paragraph up, the third line up, it says, request may, and I think instead of to that, it should be go that route.
Okay.
Request may
Oh,
go
yeah.
that route, that's all.
Mr. Eschenbacher, you got that one?
I'll check with Ms. Kanansky after the meeting.
Okay.
She'll point it out to me.
Well, we don't want to keep everybody in here. Is there any other?
Well, I'd like to bring a quick motion to the floor.
Sure.
And my motion would be, I move that the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals postpone indefinitely any future cases involving Athens City Code 23.04.05 until such time that Athens City Council amends, rewrites, and clearly defines the meaning of parking as it pertains to a permitted business use on the ground or first floor in a B2 zone.
Okay. So noted.
230405.
That was the motion.
It
Yes,
was.
there was a motion.
Do you have a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, let's just start with you from this side, from Joan.
Well, I'm trying to find it to read it. Minimum accessory use.
230405?
businesses allowed above the first floor in a B2 zone. And
Until a situation of
Resi-
parking.
Yes, yes. and-
Using, well... I
But
thought
don't we have the authority to make a determination should we be asked to do so? Isn't that part of what our board is
We can't
responsible
change or
for?
amend or rewrite the code.
No, but can we not interpret the meaning
We
until
can, but
such
it's-
time?
If you've read the newspaper, it seems to be very unclear.
Clarify?
Well, it is to help clarify, but I think we need help in our clarification. It needs to be clear so we can clearly interpret it.
Well, maybe we can just interpret it. I think that's what you're saying,
Yes,
isn't
and
it? That we have the right to
until
interpret
the
it
city
as we
council
see fit.
chooses to
Would
clarify
you
it
like to table
themselves.
this also so that
No.
some people have already
Maybe we just want
read?
to, maybe we just want to add to it.
Okay.
Maybe we should amend that to say exactly what you have said and say that, and this is certainly open to discussion, maybe we should amend it to say that we as members of the Zoning Board of Appeals feel that there has in fact been an error in interpretation from the zoning administrator and that our interpretation is just what the code says, that parking on the first floor is not a viable business and can't be allowed in a B2 or 3 zone. That makes it a bit more complicated, but
Well, I think that's much clearer to me.
Well, I'd like to see that written or amended into the code.
well, I think what you said is we don't have to hear things until they've clarified it, but
Right.
our opinion is that,
Yes, that-
and we go on record as saying
Yes,
that.
I agree.
Therefore, when one comes to us again, we can go that direction.
I agree.
I'll second it.
Okay, let's just start reviewing it.
I vote yes.
yes.
I vote yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. It's time to adjourn and go see our loved ones. Any motion to adjourn?
I second it.
Okay.
I'll be home soon, dear.